Hello, my name's Lois Forsell, and over the coming weeks, while we're in self-isolation and on lockdown, I'm going to be doing a women's sport podcast, speaking to athletes in women's sport, coaches, or generally people who've influenced the game or had a big impact in women's sports. And we'll be catching up with them over the coming weeks and hopefully maybe trying to keep you entertained, but certainly keeping myself entertained. So round one, I thought who best to kick off with than to check in with one of my former teammates. Won the double with Leeds Rhinos, 2 years on the bounce, and then made the switch, made the move, plucked up the courage, and she's gone to Australia. So, Sharboov, how are we doing?
Yeah, good mate. That were a bit of a build-up, wasn't it? Such an anticlimax now.
A bit of an anticlimax, yeah. How are you?
Yeah, really, really good. Loving life out here. Just obviously with the whole situation, things are not as I expected them to be. Sort of beginning of the season now. The season's been called off, so yeah, mixed emotions. But I'm sure we'll touch upon it all throughout the chat.
Definitely, but I think with how you've started that off, I want to ask: is that influenced the reason on the cap purchase?
Oh yeah. What it says on there, or the fact I've got a hat on, or both?
Both.
Right. Well, the motto on there is that PC.
Life's a beach.
Life's a beach. And my roots are pretty rough at the minute. No hairdressers, so yeah, caps on board tonight.
I love it. And what sort of shop did you say you got it from?
Oh, it's a shop out here called Kmart, which is just like our Primark. So I'm really missing Primark. To a point, I actually tweeted them. Primark, I miss you. And they tweeted me back saying, shall we miss you too? Oh, pretty good.
I bet they do. Oh, funny. Well, I just thought we'd catch up and we'd start off with, so obviously COVID's cancelled the season, but for anyone who hasn't really maybe seen as much of your switch and your journey over to Australia, tell us what we're all about. Where were you going? Where were you playing? Where you living? All that sort of stuff.
Yeah, so on the back of 2017, I said to you, didn't I, as a friend, I want to go out and see a bit more of Australia after seeing Sydney. And yeah, once I graduated, I were keen to come out. Saw a little bit of Brisbane when we came out with for the PNG tour. And I was lucky enough to get a spot at Brisbane Panthers. And yeah, came out to play, hoping to sort of continue their success. They won the Premier last year, and then hoping to get noticed and be picked up for the NRL if I were lucky enough, and just build some memories and just enjoy playing while I'm young enough to travel and get out there. And obviously it's not gone that way.
You speak not yet. It's not gone that way yet. You speak about 2017. So when you say out in Sydney, that were the World Cup. What did that make you playing in that sort of standard of competition, playing in those stadiums that we played in Sharp Park at Cronulla and stuff like that? Did that sort of inspire you and spur you on even more?
Yeah, I think so. Obviously, you were there, you saw it as well, and playing in that environment and that elite environment, I just loved it, and I knew. To sort of be my best, I had to play around that atmosphere. So I was keen to push myself a little bit further after winning the double with Leeds. I felt like, well, what's next? And I thought the way I'm going to grow as an athlete is to branch out and to do something like travel abroad. And yeah, Australia seemed to be the key of rugby league. So yeah, I just thought, why not? Let's do it. Let's rip in.
Definitely.
I did it.
You did it, and how is it going so far? Then did you play many games for West Brisbane, or have you not managed to get any games on yet?
Yeah, so we played a trial match. It were like 4 20 minutes. I got 2 20-minute stints, and then we played the first game, round 1, against Burleigh Bears. So that was like a rematch of the grand final for them last year. We won Burleigh by 2 points. It were a really close contested game. Yeah, and it was good. I started at second row. It was my first second row shirt, like number 11, because although I've played and started at second row before, I've always been in the centre shirt at Leeds. So it was nice to play number 11 actually and get that on my back. But yeah, I'm gonna ask them if I can have that shirt actually and keep it just for memories.
Definitely. I don't write it off. I know obviously it seems a bit rubbish with what's happened with COVID-19 at the minute and stuff like that. But I think if anything, one thing I've lived my life by the past sort of like year and a half is one door closes and another one opens. So you don't know. It might have all happened for a reason. You just don't know.
Yeah.
What were you doing work wise then?
I was working for a bank in insurance, but unfortunately, I'd just left them and got a job in a cafe. And literally, I was having a week off, and then I was due to start, and then this whole COVID-19 took over. So the cafe
Definitely a more suited job for you, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it worked. Like I did a job trial, and I just loved it. Like talking to old ladies, enjoying a coffee. It's what I do best.
It's like you speaking to each other on webcam this morning, trying to work out how to join this video chat.
That's what I mean. I am an old woman inside, so.
You're an old woman and I'm a technophobe.
There we go.
There we go, definitely.
Definitely more me, but obviously, the cafe's not open now, so they've had to lay loads of staff off, and unfortunately.
What did you say? You said to me before we were speaking off of this recording. You mentioned that you spoke to JJB, Jamie Jones Buchanan, whilst you were in PNG about what he'd said about another player.
Yeah, so JJB told me that it was going to be hard coming out here, and he said he remembers Jamie Peacock telling him that he lived off super noodles because he was so skint. Because obviously how expensive it is to live out here, and your groceries and stuff like that, it costs. And my savings, well, they're not looking that healthy at the minute. So I think I might be taking Jamie Peacock's advice and getting some noodles in.
Hey, there's a few different. Mark likes them. There's a few different flavours. Flavour every different night of the week.
That's it. Curry, beef, chicken and mushroom. I think we can.
Speaking of Court, did you catch much of her action in the NRL Nights, or have you spoke to her much while she's been back home getting wed to Loz?
Yeah, little bits. I managed to catch a little bit of the highlights on Fox, but I'm not that blessed with my super noodle budget at the minute to afford that kind of package for my television. So I had to rely on the highlights. And I've chatted to her bits and bobs. Yeah, in fact, she checked in on me yesterday and just said, "Look, I know Queensland have pulled the comp. How you doing? Do you need all?" And yeah, just really nice of her really to check in. And she's recently got wedded. So
they both look lovely, didn't they?
His wifey. Yeah, I said, "You scrub up all right? Did you wash your hair?"
No, she looked class. I'm laughing at the other day on Instagram. They were playing, I don't know, some slurpy tennis, winding each other up. It's a good job they're in the honeymoon period, because I think this lockdown might test a lot of other people.
Well, I know. I'm just glad they got their hair done before event, or they'd both be getting my caps on, wouldn't they?
What, life's a beach cap? Funny. So if they've pulled the competition then, so going back to that, so they've pulled the competition, what does that mean now then? Is there an opportunity for you to play later on this year in Oz, or do you know, or what is it? Is it all up in the air?
Yeah, it's all in the air at the minute. So there's with this Queensland State Comp, they've pulled that totally. They've said it's too much risk to players and staff travelling around the states. And obviously I don't know if you know, but there's border closures from like Queensland to New South Wales. So you're not allowed to get out of Queensland now, which would make it really difficult to sort of play and travel and stuff. So I don't know in terms of NRL. That's still all up in the air. There's a meeting on Monday, my coach said. So I suppose we'll just see. It's a bit of a difficult one. I spoke to a journalist who writes a bit for the NRL, and she said that she thinks the women's game might take a backseat because of funding, because of how much is impacted with this whole COVID thing. But we'll see. And then State of Origin as well takes a big priority. I think they really want to push for that. But yeah, we just got to see really how it goes and have a look at the numbers and see how quick it's spreading and hope for the best, really.
I think that's all anyone can do, isn't it? Just kind of just hold tight, do as they're told, and wait there. Are you on full lockdown then, or not?
Not yet. We're on stage 2 at the minute. So I think you guys are on 3, so you're on full lockdown. You're only allowed out to exercise, aren't you, like little dogs?
Like little dogs, and you only have 1 walk a day.
Yeah, you are. But no, we're allowed out, but there's nothing that you can do out, so everything's shut pretty much. Supermarket, chemists, hairdressers, all that kind of thing shut. Your nails, you can't get your nails done.
Look at them nails. So we'll move on. We'll look back. So obviously you spoke about World Cup in 2017, and 2017 was quite a big year for you. For us, we won the treble at Bradford, and just speaking about as a Bradford lass, you played at Bradford for quite a few years. Finished in 2017 when I finished, won the treble with them, went into Oz to play the World Cup in Sydney, and then moved to Leeds Rhinos. Talk to me about that sort of decision and how that all came about.
It was a big decision on it, and we got some stick, but what drove me to it was just knowing that they were a new team and it were a big challenge after coming off something so big. It was like, what's next? And it seemed a great way to push myself as an older player. You know, I knew there were a lot of girls new to the sport and just young raw players like Caitlin Beavers and Chloe and Madison and all them girls, and I was just keen to sort of help out, find my feet as a leader, and hopefully win more silverware with Leeds. And we were successful enough, and we did it. So
the whole time that we were at Bradford, I was saying to someone the other day, we're kind of like, we're always the bridesmaids, never the bride. We never won anything. Like, we always got to finals, and we had this curse on us that we just couldn't win. So 2017 to finally do it were pretty special, but to do all three and then back it off by, I remember shaking Chris Chapman walking down the line, shaking his hand, and you're kind of looking at him thinking, you're going to take me to Oswego and World Cup. And, you know, I think it were announced after the final. I think it was a team, I can't remember. But I remember it all just being really, really like a powerful time and an exciting time. And then, like you say, to go on to Leeds. But, you know, what are some of your best memories of that and moving over?
Loads. That game you just mentioned there, going out at Forsell, like, how special was that? I mean, we had a guard of honour, ran out in front of a decent crowd. Forsell, where I went as a kid, and threw bloody newspaper up in air, and everyone cheering. Like, that was so special, like really, really special. And then obviously the silverware and just getting some crowds behind you. I remember when we played against Saints away. And like just hearing fans, like the atmosphere in the crowds, and as women's rugby, we'd not really had that seasons before. And although we won the treble with Bradford, the game was still really, really new. And I think with Leeds, it sort of kicked on, and the crowd started expanding, and the game were expanding, and yeah, really, really special. Loads of memories, to be honest.
Moving over to Leeds, do you remember like quite a lot of people maybe doubting that decision?
Oh yeah, a lot. Do you want me to mention names, or are we not allowed?
No. I just think like it was just interesting, wasn't it, that there were a lot of like. There was. I think people were apprehensive about what it would mean, and could you do it with a lot of new girls and stuff like that. Does that make it even sweeter, that decision to go do it?
Yeah. Oh hell yeah! Do you know what? It fueled my fire, if anything. And I know I can mention one name, and one name was my dad. My dad said to me, "Charlotte, what are you doing? Like, why you leaving Bradford?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And he was like, "What?" And for the first few games at Leeds, he didn't come watch.
I remember. I don't remember if you remember in that game at Odsell, that it was so special, wasn't it? Because it was kind of like the first game, and it was a really good opportunity for the RFL and the game to put a stamp on like local derby game, Leeds v Bradford. And I remember I was just so on edge. I was like, we've got to win this. It's like, there's no like, I'm going to go. This is the first time we run out in Leeds Rhinos women's colours. And Cuthbert always told us there's a chance for history to be created. And I was just so buzzing. And I loved that game. I remember every single bit about it. I remember Shannon, who came on to be our apprentice, said to me, I always remember, you like dragged me into the scrum. And I was like, well, you were taking too long. And it's like that sort of thing of like, I wanted it so much. And I think some of the girls came in and were kind of like, not as, maybe everyone was all really invested, but I think it had been probably about, a good 9 months of people telling us that it wasn't the right thing to do, and questioning that decision. So I think it was just so good to get that win, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, there was so much riding on it. Yeah, constantly self-doubt, and I'd be honest, like even me, at one point I was like, can we actually do this? And then we kicked off, and I thought, do you know what, we actually can. And the atmosphere when we were playing was just electric. Like Yeah, if you could bottle that feeling up, yeah, you'd make millions selling it.
Speaking about someone who bottles stuff, which is Adam Cuthbertson and his El Natural skincare products.
Shout out.
So he obviously got in with us from day one and put his name to the job of being our head coach. And how much do you think that had an impact on someone of his calibre of player? But also as we grew to learn, such a great coach as well. How much did that impact us?
Oh yeah, I feel like Adam had such a big part in us winning, what we did and doing what we did as a collective. He was so keen on getting us, that team mentality, and I think that for me probably won everything we won and developed us all as people and individuals way more than any sort of silverware and any more, skills or anything like that. Yeah, I feel like he had such a big part in terms of his experience bringing it from the field, and being able to lead us as a player. I think as well we all had such a admiration for him, knowing what he'd been through and what he'd achieved in his career. Whereas some coaches, I think sometimes they're just sort of telling you from what they'd imagine or what they've learned, whereas for him it were all about what he'd experienced and what he'd been through and what he had realised through years of playing. So yeah, it's almost like he were our guinea pig, to be honest. He'd been through the hardship and he could pass on his knowledge and help guide us as people on and off the field. So yeah, I've got nothing but respect for Adam.
Yeah, I think we definitely all learned a lot from him, and I think the best thing that he did was just the amount that he brought in. I remember me and Leon meeting him for a coffee when he'd kind of said that he was keen, and we were just thinking he was going to say we're going to drop in for a session here and there. And when he were kind of like, why do you keep saying that? And we were like, just didn't think he'd be able to commit. And he was like, no, if I'm gonna, I will, and I wanna. And I remember, looking back, I mean, his son Kyle was born like maybe 3 or 4 days before the final that we went and played in, and he went and had his hand done. He were he just had an operation, I think that day or the day before, and he was straight into training. So I think he was class for us, and not just for Leeds Rhinos women, but for the game in general, just to kind of use him to help propel it forward. I think he was brilliant, and we're all really grateful. And I know I certainly learned a lot from him and got some big boots to fill, but we'll get there. So looking back to before you moved, so you obviously went to PNG as well. We've not really touched on that. Our class must have been absolutely amazing. Now, I have to admit, I was looking at that kind of bit envious that, I've been lucky as a player to have so many highlights in my career and so lucky to travel to different parts of the world. But after playing against PNG in the 2017 World Cup and just kind of not getting to know them, but kind of we read some articles in the newspaper while we were over there in 2017, and then the screening of Power Mary. I think it must have been quite inspirational, really. How were it?
Oh yeah, it were. Flew to Brisbane. We had a week here, trained really hard, and then we flew to Goroka, which were like some jungly mountain area in Papua New Guinea. So raw and cultured. People living in tribes, and they eating these nuts that get them high, and just all sorts of really random stuff that you just wouldn't ever imagine. People running up to you and seeing you like a global celebrity, giving you bags and asking you to sign stuff, and they're just it was just so amazing. I loved Goroka. I'd live there. I thought it were amazing. And then Port Moresby, a little bit different, a bit more cultured, city-like, known for its crime rate and stuff like that. But the people were just so friendly and so happy that you were there and really appreciative of everything you were doing for them. And the first game we won, fantastic, great memories. And then the second game, obviously it weren't the score we wanted. But do you know what? Now I've come away from it and just self-reflecting on that, like we created such a big moment for their women, and although we had to be on the bitter part of it, it was so great to see all the people that had once doubted Papua New Guinea and the Orchids cheering for them in the stands, Orchids, and them getting round of applause. When they first started, they were getting booed.
Yeah.
Like, nobody were backing them. And then to see a crowd full in Port Moresby, cheering them and clapping them off. Yeah, it was pretty, sensational, to be honest.
Yeah. I know from an England point of view, it kind of, that's something that want to put right in the World Cup when you maybe come up against them again. But I think, like you say, that's what is so brilliant about, not just women's sport in general, but kind of the characters that it kind of builds and the stories that it can create. And like you say, that I were in tears when I watched that Power Mary film, because I just think it is so inspirational. And like you say, people did, like, because of some of the cultural parts as well associated with Papua New Guinea and things like that, how strong the women have been and how driven. And you think about what we've got to train and where we can train and all that sort of stuff, and kind of sometimes what they have. It is outstanding, sort of how far they've come, and one of the really, really feel good stories and something that should be celebrated. So I do think I saw some of the stuff on social media, and I think JJB put together an amazing video, didn't you, whilst you were over there of and going to school visits, and it just looked absolutely class. So brilliant. Moving on, you mentioned it then, Cambodia. So I'm going to say, tell us a bit more about Shah. So if someone's tuning in because I wanted to see how you're getting on over in Oz and they've followed Rhino's success and like you as an athlete, or they're incredibly bored on day 15 of self-isolation.
They must be pretty bored to watch me talk for it.
Tell us something that they might not know. So we'll go with travelling, and then you can just fill in with anything else that you may know.
Yeah. Well, I'm in Brisbane now, so I clearly like to travel and see the world and meet people that do different things and live differently and eat fairy cakes and
very
bread. Cambodia, I saw a little bit of Southeast Asia when I was 19. I went and volunteered in Cambodia for 3 months. Saw a little bit of Thailand there. Did the whole touristy elephant situation. That was pretty cool. Obviously, I've seen bits of Europe. These guys find it amazing that we just go to Spain on a holiday, because for them it's so far away.
That's like, I've been doing the new show Inside Super League, and we have quite a lot of the NRL players come on, and you do say that kind of like, what made you want to come to the Super League, and they obviously speak about the clubs and history and why they want to play there, but also the fact that they have just got Europe on the doorstep and just can just fly to Spain, fly to Italy.
Yeah, like, it's mad. Like, I've said to people, like, when I've been on holiday in Turkey, and they're like, oh yeah, casually just Turkey. But obviously, they say, I've been on holiday in New Zealand, which we're like, what?
Yeah,
it's funny. But yeah, keen traveller, like my food, like sweet food especially. Bit too much, that's why I went forwards.
So when you went travelling, you did quite a bit of teaching, didn't you, when you went to Cambodia?
Yeah, so I taught English as a foreign language. They were only youngsters, so it wasn't that hard. But yeah, just teaching them like head, shoulders, knees and toes and that kind of thing. Do you know what? Really funny story. The girl that I was teaching with was Scottish before I took over the class. So she taught them how to say hair. Now she was saying hair. And then I got them and they were saying hair. I don't know who they got next, but they'll be pronouncing hair all kind of ways.
Do you think that's what made you kind of want to take up? You took up a role at Farnley, didn't you, last year? So you were working at Farnley Academy as a science technician.
Yeah.
And you talk to me about your coaching experience.
Oh, do you know what? Well, obviously I graduated with a Bachelor of Science in Sport, Health and Nutrition, and we were playing footy at Leeds. See, I say footy now, how bad's that? It's disgusting. Best job I ever had. They supported rugby so much. I was working 8 till 3 every day. I could train before work. I could train after work. Oh, do you know what? I got to know so many kids. I was coaching the girls' rugby league team on a night. Yeah, I absolutely loved that job. That was one of the hardest things about coming out here, because I thought I've never had a job that I just absolutely loved, like, and it didn't feel like work. Honestly, I'd go back in a heartbeat. But
What was the biggest thing you learned about coaching? Because obviously I've coached the girls in Leeds, not Leeds women, but just kids at schools for probably like 6-7 years now, and there's some funny learnings and stuff that you think that really works, that done, and just I love my job every single day that I do it, because it's just always a different day. But how did you find the coaching?
Oh, I loved it. Do you know what? At first it were a challenge, because they were so in the way. So like, Miss, can we do this? Because Miss lets us do this. So I thought, oh, I'm going to be the cool teacher and let them do what they want. Oh no, don't do that. Don't do that. They will abuse you. So then second week, I were there on time with my cap and my whistle. Oh, I loved it. And there were some crazy characters, and characters that were amazing at rugby. But then in class, I'd have the teachers coming up to me saying, you know, Charlotte, do you know this person? Like, we can't get her on side. She loves PE and she's loving your rugby, but science, she's not going. And I had some of them come into prep room and asking for me and asking for extra work, and I was sitting with them helping with their homework and all sorts. So
it's good that you can probably use sport as a tool. So kind of the fact that they enjoyed rugby, can that be a two-way street and kind of keep them engaged in school? Because at the end of the day, you've got to be. Because they do love rugby, and it's a good way to discipline themselves, isn't it? I mean, I always say to them, you can't go into a lesson and smash a shield, smash a bag, smash another person. You can in rugby, so if that's what you enjoy, just get on with it.
Yeah, and a lot of them, like, I'd say, well, what don't you like about English? They'd be like, oh, well, I don't like my teacher and I don't like this. And I'm like, but unfortunately, that's life. Like, you're going to play rugby with someone that probably ain't your best mate, but on a pitch, they're going to be your best mate, they're going to be your family member, and you're going to have to dig deep for them. And they kind of like get it because they can associate that with the game and then take it forward in other aspects of their life. So yeah, I love sport in kids and child development. I think it's so important.
How old do you feel when you say those statements? Like you just said then, how old do you feel? You feel like, oh my God, I remember a teacher saying this to me.
Yeah, I know. And you know what? At school, I used to say, just do it. Just work hard now. Just be present. If you can take one thing away from this lesson, take it. And yeah, like, but you know what? I'll say it because I just think if I've given them one thing that plays in their mind, then I've done my job, haven't I?
You have. And you were doing a brilliant job, so hopefully, you know, if and when you do come back to Leeds, you can get a job doing something similar, but make sure it's the Leeds school so you can be getting them champion school ready or playing in some of our competitions, get the conveyor belt continuing. But so on that then, so what advice would you give to somebody, whether it's, because you came to rugby quite late, didn't you? How old were you when you started playing?
18. You
played football before, actual English football, and then moved to rugby, didn't you?
Yeah.
So anyone who's thinking about getting involved in rugby, who might be sort of like our age, start watching this and thinks, after isolation, I'm going to try something new and I'm going to get out of my comfort zone, so might give rugby a go. Or it could be one of those junior players. Like, what bit of advice would you give to anyone?
Just don't think too hard. Just do it. If something scares you, just 3, 2, 1 it. 3, 2, 1 and jump and just do it. Just pick up the phone or send an email and yeah, just crack on. What can you actually lose? Like, you know, you might go somewhere and think, oh yeah, it wasn't for me, and there you go. You've not lost anything. You've just gained something. Like, you know, you've pushed yourself. You've got out of your comfort zone. Yeah, and do it. Like, you know, you meet so many mates and so many people, and there's some people that I've met, positive and negative, from rugby that I think, do you know what? I would never cross paths with you. Not in a workplace, not in the streets. But do you know what? You've impacted my life.
Not in the streets.
No, you know what I mean, mate. You know some of these people that are just like, just absolute characters and just, you know, can tell the most amazing stories and have just such crazy life experiences that you probably won't meet. But
I 100% agree.
You know.
I love that 3, 2, 1 it, and I think that's what you say is right. I think if you send someone an email about you come in, or do you want to do something, or I'm going to go do something, and you kind of document it, that kind of keeps you accountable, doesn't it? And I think it's that everyone knows that we all have those self-doubts, and just get those positive affirmations out there that you can do it and you're brilliant at it, and just give something new a go. I like that. Brilliant. So finish up then. What's next? Okay. What's next for Shabu? What we're thinking?
I don't know. I suppose we all don't know, do we? You know, I don't know if I'm going to be in isolation next week, but I'm just obviously I've discussed a little bit about my mental health with you in the past, and I do suffer with depression, anxiety, and I am on medication for that. I've been quite open throughout sort of my playing career about my struggles. So for me, it's just taking this day by day and setting myself mini goals, whether that's getting out for a walk, training, meditating, reading, just, you know, keeping going with it really. And then after that, I'm hoping to crack on and do my farm work. Hopefully I'll do 6 months on a farm, and then I'll get my second and third visa on the back of that. Because I would like a chance at playing out here, believe it or not. I flew quite a while to get here. So hopefully, I'll get my chance that way. But pending. Nobody knows, do they, at the minute? It's just one of them.
2021?
2021. So exciting. And part of me is like, will it go ahead? Like, I don't know, will it?
It will, yeah.
Yeah.
I hope so.
They've pulled Olympics, haven't they?
Yeah, but how class is next year going to be, 2021? You're going to have, like, the football, the Olympics, the Rugby League World Cup. Like, it's going to be a sport.
Oh, yeah, it'll be special. And you know what? Probably on the back of 2020, we'll need that. We'll need that big bump of sport and to just have that injection of life back in us, to be honest.
How are you keeping up with your training ahead of 2021? Because obviously you've had this hiccup with the season not going ahead, and I think that's the biggest thing. Everyone involved in sport now, how do they keep themselves going, and how do they channel their inner competitor? Because I always say that, you know, well, it's actually like say at Leeds, if you want to be a champion on the field, you've got to be a champion at home first. But we've never probably had this long at home to be a champion.
Exactly. No. Do you know what? You've just got to make it work, and rather than thinking about the problem, think about the solution. So I sound like Chris Chapman now, don't I?
He has some good words of wisdom, does Chris?
But yeah, think about the solution. So I were really bogged down the other day. I thought, I can't get to the gym. What am I going to do? I approached my gym, and I've borrowed some equipment from them. So yeah, just do what you can do where you can do it. Whether that's running, whether that's borrowing gym equipment, whether that's getting your yoga on YouTube, whatever you can do it. And it won't last forever either.
No, definitely.
I think times like this are going to make you bitter or better.
Well, Sha, it's good to hear you speak about that, dead honest and stuff like that, about your mental health and well-being, and it looks like you're absolutely killing it, and you know that if ever you do have a down day, that there's plenty of people to talk to, back in me and all your mates back home at Leeds. You were brilliant for me last year when I struggled up and down on the roller coaster of injury and retirement, but there's that one photo that I think encapsulates exactly how I felt probably over all the last year, whether it were family or friends. That one where you had your arm around me on grand final night, and I think that a lot forever speak of a million words, and it kind of gives me goosebumps every time I look at it. One of my favourite photos. But thank you for catching up with us. It's been absolutely brilliant. Some absolute pearls of advice and wisdom, some laughs.
I'm here all week, yeah.
But hopefully,
I'm on lockdown.
Well, I've done one. That's enough. They might not let me do another one after listening to this one.
Oops. Sorry, mate.
You can take half at blame. But no, it's been absolutely brilliant catching up with you. So keep well, take care, and keep us updated. And we hope to see you in a West Brisbane Panthers top soon.
Yeah, me too, mate.
You too, mate. Bye.